There is a particular issue today in this age that is especially horrifying and despicable. It had been bothering me for a while. I haven't really spoken much about it, but after watching a certain video going viral today, I can't help but feel sadness and pity for the victim and anger towards the perpetrators. It struck me so hard that I switched and decided on this topic today instead of another one that I had already planned. So anyway, this is what happened. CBS News Twitter page posted a video of a nurse carrying out a newborn baby. Now, back in a normal age, when we look at that, we see it's a heartwarming moment. And most likely, this means the nurse is carrying the baby over to the father who's been waiting so that he can meet his newborn child. However, in a society that's nothing more now than a rotten corpse, this scenario all too often results in a much more sinister conclusion. The nurse wasn't carrying the baby over to her father, who was eagerly and nervously awaiting her arrival, but rather she was carrying her over to meet her supposed two fathers. It was it was heartbreaking to watch, to see that tiny baby that's so innocent being sold and passed around like a product off the store shelf, being yanked away from her mother immediately. And so, thanks to some of the comments from people under the post, I learned that it's illegal to separate puppies from the mother before a certain amount of weeks. But this same country that prioritizes making sure that that never happens is the same one that not only allows but encourages the same thing to happen to newborn humans. My wife and I had a baby recently. We learned a lot of things about the birthing process and the aftermath. We read that there have been instances where the baby was experiencing many struggles just after birth, and the thing that saved the baby from dying was skin to skin contact with its mother, physically feeling the mother's love and warmth. The connection that a child has with its biological parents, especially the mother, and especially immediately after birth, is so crucial to their well being. In this scenario, the baby is immediately whisked away from the person who was carrying her for 9 months, whose voice she learned to recognize, the only person she knew, and brought her out for a couple of sexual deviants pretending to be her parents. Even from just watching the body language in that video, neither guy reached out for the baby. They just looked and stared like they're admiring a new piece of merchandise they just purchased. It took the nurse to basically shove the baby into their arms for them to make any contact with her. And let's be perfectly clear about this too. This poor child doesn't have two fathers. She has no mother or father, just two owners. It's so demeaning and degrading and terrible for this child. Everyone here, except for the baby, obviously, is a wretched human being and would be punished in a just society. The hospital first for providing their establishment and services for this, the nurse for partaking in this tragic event, smiling and acting like this is some kind of heartwarming moment, the two men pretending to be her parents and robbing her of the kind of upbringing that every child needs, and in my opinion, most of all, the mother, giving up and selling her child either for money or because of inconvenience, leaving her to this fate where she'll grow up in a warped and depraved reality. Now, Just for clarification, I do not support the idea of surrogacy at all. And that is when, a couple who either cannot or would not birth a child themselves decide to shop for a baby before it's even conceived. And it's much different than adoption, which is a beautiful thing when the people involved have good intentions, of course. But back to surrogacy, even though it's a horrible practice that turns a baby into a product to buy and sell, and the mother into nothing more than just a baby making machine, at least after all of that, maybe the baby will at least grow up with a mother and father and receive a somewhat balanced upbringing. But in this case, and many others, the baby's being left in the care of two men who are living a perverted and mortally sinful lifestyle. A lifestyle that will affect her and almost surely cause many mental and spiritual problems for her. If I were in office or running for it, this right here would be a main part of my platform. I would be pushing hard to illegalize surrogacy, with a special emphasis on making sure that so-called LGBS parents, of course, quotation mark, cannot come anywhere near a baby, let alone giving it to them. This issue needs to start being addressed by Republican politicians. It's also time to start holding many of the prominent conservative pundits' feet to the fire. The token gay friend of mainstream conservative media, Dave Rubin, I think about a year ago or so, purchased 2 babies with his partner. I'm going to read some of the names of prominent conservatives on Twitter who congratulated him because they did so publicly and are just asking for it. So there's the Blaze TV, founded by Glenn Beck, PragerU, Libs of TikTok, Christopher Rufo, Christina Pushaw, Megyn Kelly, Ian Miles Xiong, and many other lower profile people. Additionally, Rubin himself stated that Ron DeSantis sent him some baby gifts. So, just to see what kind of person he is as well. And then, on a side note, I wanted to give Mark Dice a shout out for his response to it, because not only did he condemn it, but he also let these people know how despicable their supportive reactions were to it. So good for him. He stuck to his principles. So this is where a fair chunk of the conservative movement is now. In 15 years, it went from marriages between a man and a woman to a couple of gay dudes can purchase a baby and pretend they're family. They're a family. And the best you can get from conservatives on the more traditional side of conservative media is either silence or just a weak retort. Oh, you can practice sodomy and subject a poor innocent child to be mixed up in that, just as long as you don't trans the kids, because we're principled. That's where we draw the line. Yeah. Till you give up on that, then you draw another line and another line. Never ends. Never ends with these people. Thanks to lukewarm conservatives who are more interested in staying more moderate so that they can keep collecting that nice paycheck, there are fewer and fewer people who are out there to protect these babies and children from this kind of horrifying fate. And so that's all I have for you today. I appreciate you listening, and God bless.